Hi everyone, welcome to my case summary of Asahi Metal versus Superior Court. This is a U.S. Supreme Court decision from 1987, and it's about personal jurisdiction and the stream of commerce theory, and how defendants can have minimum contacts when they put a product into the stream of commerce and that product ends up causing an injury in another state. So, the facts. There's a driver and he lost control of his motorcycle. He crashed with a tractor. He suffered a big bad injury, and his wife even died of the crash. So he filed a products liability suit in the Superior Court of California. That's a state court, of course. He named Changshin Rubber Industrial Co. as the defendant. Changshin filed a cross complaint, and they were seeking indemnification from co-defendants Asahi Metal Company. That's the petitioner here. And the suit against Changshin was eventually dismissed. So the case ends up boiling down to just the indemnification claim against Asahi. So what happens here? Well, California has a long arm statute that allows as much personal jurisdiction as is possible under the U.S. Constitution. Asahi moves to quash service of summons. So we have a statutory basis for personal jurisdiction, which we usually need. The question is personal jurisdiction here consistent with the U.S. Constitution? So Asahi says no, obviously, in their argument. And they lose in the Superior Court on their motion to quash the service of summons. But then they win in the Court of Appeals of California. But then it gets to the California Supreme Court, and Asahi loses. So it's going all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court now, after all of this long, arduous process. And the big question that the court has to tackle is the stream of commerce theory. And if simply being aware on the part of the foreign defendant that a component it manufactured, sold, and delivered outside of the United States would reach the foreign state in the stream of commerce, does that constitute minimum contacts between the defendant and the foreign state, such that personal jurisdiction here would not violate fair play and substantial justice? Those obviously are important components in policy considerations for the constitutional aspect of personal jurisdiction. So there's a lot in this case, a lot in the holding. The first thing here is that in the opinion written by Justice O'Connor, she summarizes that, hey, we all agree that it would violate fair play and substantial justice to subject Asahi Metal to the California court's personal jurisdiction because, and there's a lot of reasons, but the main issue here is there's a huge burden for Asahi Metals. They are a company that is headquartered in Japan, and we're talking about bringing them all the way over to another country, the state of California, for a trial. No, that just does not seem compatible with fair play and substantial justice. But that aside, so they all agree on the judgment. They all agree no personal jurisdiction. There's the issue of the stream of commerce, and there are different views on it, and that's why we get a plurality opinion that is unsupported by 5 or more justices, and 2 concurrences that express some different views from the majority and from each other about how stream of commerce ought to work in determining whether there is personal jurisdiction. So, what does O'Connor and her plurality say? Well, they say awareness just isn't enough. Just because you are aware that a product might be swept into the stream of commerce, into a foreign state, that is not a minimum contact. There needs to be an action purposefully directed by the defendant at the forum state. And we see this a lot with these like right-leaning justices who are more conservative, small c in their approach to how much personal jurisdiction a state court should have. They want something really intentional, some really intentional action that would allow a court to exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant. And that purposeful availment, that purposeful action just is not available here. Asahi did not do it. Just being aware is not enough. Then we got the opposite end of the spectrum, sort of, in Justice Brennan's concurrence. Brennan is obviously a more left-leaning justice, and he takes a very expansive view of court's personal jurisdiction. He's very pro-plaintiff. And he says, yeah, awareness is enough. As long as you are aware that your product is being marketed in the forum state, and the chance of a lawsuit cannot be a surprise. But he thinks that in this case it would still be inappropriate for there to be personal jurisdiction from the court because minimum requirements inherent in the concept of fair play and substantial justice defeat the reasonableness of jurisdiction, even though the defendant here, Asahi, has purposefully engaged in forum activities. So note that he says rare, so that in his view it should be rare. Obviously, not all the justices of the court agree that it should be rare that it gets defeated. Then we get to Justice John Paul Stevens, and he takes a middle road, so to speak, a more nuanced view that we should focus on the volume of the products that are going into the forum state. And if there's a greater volume, then it's a more plausible case for there to be personal jurisdiction exercised by the court. Also take into account if those products are hazardous. Hazardous products means more likely to be personal jurisdiction in Stevens' view. So, those are the three opinions. Which one do you agree with? Well, I can tell you this. No matter which one you agree with, from this case, there is no view on the stream of commerce that have got a majority of the votes, so no opinion has binding effect on future decisions, only persuasive effect on decisions on the stream of commerce. So yeah, let me know what you think of Asahi. Civ Pro students, I really hope that this video was helpful to you. I hope that you can take this and run with it to the final exam and get an A++++ in your civil procedure class. Yeah, not a super confusing concept, mostly because there's actually no binding law that comes out of this. And yeah, if you liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Let's grow this channel. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.